It's a hot August day in 1869. And in the industrial but small town of Port Republic, Virginia, the residents are taking a well-deserved break from their days at the iron foundry to gather in the town center for a very special occasion. Bright banners and posters hang from every building announcing the day's festivities. John Robinson's Circus, it says, surrounded in colors and illustrations of performers and animals alike. The air in the town is electric. After all, Port Republic isn't exactly known for being a metropolitan destination of entertainment. So having the circus come to town is a pretty special treat. But while most of the circus goers are alight with joy and anticipation, a dark cloud of tension appears at the center of the crowd over a handful of young men who are trading smiles for scowls as they spot each other amongst the hullabaloo surrounding them. Are you doing West Side Story?
Yeah.
The crowd around them sense the change from levity to something far darker as the small group of 4 or 5 men start to jeer angrily at one man standing by himself in his worn-out work clothes covered in stains of ash and dirt. Clearly, this fight was not evenly matched, with the single man forced to hold his own against the group. The single man stands his ground firmly, though, sniping at the group of young men ganging up on him as much as they are to him. When one young man steps to the front of the small mob, a young boy, likely not even 20, he points heatedly to the single man. "You've got some nerve coming around here, O'Donnell," the boy says as he slowly draws a pistol from inside his jacket. I'm Karyn Harding.
And I'm Kim McMasters.
And this is Low Ancestry. Welcome, Kim.
Welcome, Karyn.
This is one of those stories with a lot of gaps, a lot of loose ends, which I hear are your favorite kind of stories.
Yeah, I love when there's no conclusion. I love when there are unanswered questions. I love not knowing the truth. I especially love not knowing how the women in a story feel. That's like my favorite part.
Oh, good. I have all of that. Great. Canonically, something you really enjoy.
Yeah. Yep.
I think once you know the core of today's story, you'll forgive me, because today's central plot is all about murder. It's murder. It's about murder.
It's about murder.
Today, we're going to talk all about your third great-grandfather, John Lewis O'Donnell, and the Port Republic murder of 1869.
Oh, no.
Kim, would you like to know what else is going on in 1869?
This is my favorite part.
Do it. Yeah, do it in the theme of West Side Story. In 1869, Ulysses S. Grant is sworn in as president of the United States.
Okay.
The periodic table is presented formally for the first time in Russia.
The shift in reaction between Ulysses S. Grant and the periodic table for me is like stupid.
Oh, as in like you're more pro periodic table?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just got so excited about science.
The patent for margarine is filed in France.
In France?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've done enough.
I would imagine they have good butter.
Yeah, but like if you have good butter in a place notorious for a wealth gap.
Oh, that part.
Yeah.
That part.
You gotta come up with a cheap alternative.
Wonder how much margarine would fit in an acre.
I can't do this with you.
Okay. Sorry.
The Suez Canal in Egypt is inaugurated, which I think inaugurated means she's formally open for business.
Yeah.
The word agnostic is coined for the first time.
Whoa. By who?
Oh, I don't know that.
Okay. All right.
Both Campbell Soup and Heinz are founded. Not by the same people, just separately founded in this year.
Two of the most offensive tomato products ever. Campbell's tomato
and
soup
the pillars of
ketchup.
American society and cuisine.
Yeah.
Oh, and the pillars of like every casserole in the Midwest.
Yeah. Plus cream.
Plus cream.
Plus cream.
Well, I mean, with Campbell Soup, you could just have cream of chicken and cream of mushrooms.
Yeah,
and then
that's true.
Combine those.
Where's the Heinz fit in?
You tell me.
All right, we'll work on that one.
And then lastly, Mahatma Gandhi is born.
Big year.
Big year.
That's a big year.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
But in the small but busy town of Port Republic, Virginia, there was a murder on August 4th, 1869.
Where's Port Republic?
Rockingham County.
Okay.
So I think like that's Shenandoah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like by Harrisonburg.
Yes. This murder all starts with a circus. John Robinson's circus was in town, and his troupe had set up in the lot next to a store owned by George Nichols. You don't need to know who that is. It's just a local guy. John Robinson's circus was actually one of the longest running family-owned circuses. It ran for 69 years from 1842 to 1911.
Wow.
And it was run by 4 generations of John Robinsons, all named John Robinson.
Wow.
I know. So this is actually kind of a big deal around town, and we've got a crowd forming. And within the crowd of excited circus goers, we find a group of brothers, all with the last name Rains.
Mm-hmm.
And our sound engineer here at Low Ancestry, Benjamin Mauk, I did his ancestry, and a very like prominent name in his tree is Rain, spelled exactly the same, but without an S.
Oh.
And I actually spent a pretty long time trying to see if these Rains were related to his.
Yeah.
Couldn't figure it out.
Dang.
There's a chance.
Yeah, but slim.
I think it would just be more fun to assume that these are his ancestors, but
yeah,
we don't know that.
Okay.
But we do know for sure that one of the ones at the circus, his name is Henry Rains. But aside from that, we're actually not 100% sure how many or which of the other Rains are present. We just know that there's like a handful of them. In another part of the crowd, we have a lone man who is known around town as C.T. O'Donnell, the Irishman. He's a blacksmith at the local Mount Vernon iron furnace, which is one of the iron foundries in town. So he's this big strapping man, around 26 years old. When the two parties see each other, the Rains boys and O'Donnell, I just assume they start scowling at each other.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened ahead of time, but by every account that people relayed afterwards, it was clear that these two groups, well, not two groups, the one group and O'Donnell.
Yeah. Can it be a group of one?
Yeah. Oh,
one is the loneliest number.
Or if it's a group, if you love yourself. I don't know. Cut that.
No, keep that.
But it was clear that they had pre-existing beef with each other before they saw each other. Yep. Yes, pre-beef. Sorry. They had pre-existing beef with each other before they saw each other at the circus. So how the fight breaks out is uncertain.
Uh-huh.
But it certainly does break out, which sucks for O'Donnell because he's one man against a flock of brothers.
Uh-huh.
But he holds his own. It starts out as just like a physical fight.
Yeah.
And he holds his own until he gets hit in the head by a rock, which actually didn't knock him out, according to witnesses.
Small rock?
There's no way to know.
Pebble?
It's probably in a police file somewhere.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Doesn't knock him out, but that's how the fight ends. He gets hit in the head with the rock. One account I read states that this first fight actually stops at this point and the boys all go their separate ways. But another account is that the fight just keeps going here versus the other account, which is that they meet up later and have a second fight. Either way, whether it happens at this time or it breaks out sometime later in the day, the second iteration of the fight is just one-on-one. So it's just Henry Rains against O'Donnell.
Yikes.
So just to put that timeline a little more clearly, we have the first fight, which is like 4 or 5 guys against O'Donnell. O'Donnell gets hit in the head with a rock. Then the next iteration of the fight, picture like a WWE, like the bell rings and now they're like back in.
Yeah.
But this time, the other Rains boys are not in the fight. It's just Henry Rains and O'Donnell.
Yikes.
We don't know for sure about the 2 fights versus 1 fight, but the thing we do know for sure is that at some point, Henry Rains pulls out a gun and shoots O'Donnell. The bullet goes through his left arm and into his guts, and he dies. Yeah, so he must have been like standing.
Yeah, what's the angle? Through his left arm into his guts.
Maybe he was like holding his, or like trying to guard his stomach or something.
Yeah, or maybe he saw the gun and like turned to run.
Something like that. Yeah.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh.
But he dies right there at the scene.
Yikes.
And Henry Rains, Well, he disappears for 7 years.
Wow.
He goes on the lam. He's not arrested. He gets away.
So how did anybody know it was him? Were there witnesses?
There were definitely witnesses.
Okay,
This was
okay,
just
okay.
out on the street.
Yeah, this was just willy-nilly.
Everyone knew. They were like, yeah, the Rains boys attacked O'Donnell and Henry shot him. Yeah. There was no question about that.
Sad.
I know. Well, now we've got a dead O'Donnell on the ground. But the question is, who is he?
Yeah, what's the deal?
And why did he have beef with the Rains boys?
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, Kim, that I can partially answer both of those questions.
Okay, great. Incredible.
First, who is C.T. O'Donnell? For starters, his name is not C.T. O'Donnell.
Okay.
He's John Lewis O'Donnell, your third great-grandfather.
Where's the CT come from?
No idea.
Whoa.
Like I said, I can partially answer this question. So
Cool Times O'Donnell.
Cool Times O'Donnell's very good. Less cool after he died.
Uh-huh.
So let's learn a little bit about the life of John. Like, where was he born? Great question. I might know, I might not also know.
Oh, man.
And that's the joy of this story. So according to one record that John filled out later in his life, he was born on January 22nd, 1843, to John and Mary O'Donnell in Liverpool, England. But most people in America refer to John O'Donnell as the Irishman. So his children would actually write in their own records that their father was born in Dublin, Ireland. So John himself writes that he was born in Liverpool, England. His children write that he was born in Dublin, Ireland. I don't know which is true. I can't find the birth record, and this might surprise you to know, but the names John and Mary O'Donnell are actually pretty common in both England and Ireland.
Sure, yep.
So to be determined whether or not I can find those. If anybody out there has found it, Mary's maiden name is Butcher. So look up John O'Donnell and Mary F. Butcher. If you find the birth record, please let us know at lowancestry@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Even though we don't know where he was born, we know for sure that he was Irish by heritage. So it doesn't really totally matter in which place he was born. But that's not the only thing we don't know. We don't know a lot of things.
Cool. Let's talk about all the things we don't know.
Good. From the years 1843, from when he was born, all the way up to 1866.
We got nothing?
One big blank space, baby.
Oh, come on.
No clue. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know when he came to America. I don't know diddly. The only thing I know is that he came to America either like sometime before May of 1866. So he's in America now. And in May 1866, we know that he's in America because he gets married. And he gets married in Madison County, Virginia, to a young woman named Martha Tennessee Clore.
Oh, yes.
She is your third great-grandmother.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
With her specifically?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
Oh, I'm probably going to get the facts wrong, but there's property in Madison that was in the family for a long time. And the Clores had like a furniture business.
Yeah.
Oh, you knew this already.
I was going to talk about the furniture.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And I think we had some pieces when I was growing up that were beautiful.
Where are they now?
Mom's got them somewhere.
Okay, that's good because they're probably worth a lot.
They're I think my mom maybe had some, and then when my grandparents passed away, they got some more.
Oh, that's cool. Did they ever like talk to the current iteration of like the Clore furniture owners?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Okay, we'll get you more info. We'll do a follow-up.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I actually like this better that you're familiar with Martha Tennessee because I feel bad for her.
I'm glad you feel connected to this person that has a terrible time.
Well, it's always nicer when it's like, well, people remembered her and know her.
Yeah.
And there's something nice about that because she's going to need it. Anyway, so that's your third great-grandmother. It's cool that you're familiar with her work.
Yeah.
So when they got married, he was 23, she was 19. Now, I find this pairing to be a little odd. And I'll tell you why. I literally wrote, I'll tell you why.
Okay, great.
Martha was born and raised in Madison, Virginia, in the Clore family, which you've heard of.
Mm-hmm.
And by 1866, they had already been in the area of Virginia for close to 150 years.
Whoa.
So they have been there quite a long time.
Established.
They're a German Protestant family who came to Virginia to escape religious persecution from the Palatinate, which we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, we will be talking more about the Clores and another family in that branch and about the story of when they came to America in a later episode because it's extremely interesting. And as a little teaser, that episode involves scandal and piracy. So stay tuned.
Ooh, like actual pirates?
Yes. I know. You're not related to pirates, but they're involved in the story.
You gotta catch me before I make the jump.
But the Clores and the other German families make their home in Madison County, Virginia, on Manikin, Manahoac, and Shawnee land. And they become this well-established Virginia family. And they actually do create some amount of wealth for themselves. They're definitely not the richest Virginia family, but they were wealthier than some. And they definitely enslaved people over the years in Madison County as part of gaining that wealth. So on top of that, as you mentioned, Martha's father begins a furniture business. In 1830, it's called Clore Furniture. It's still a company today. You can buy their furniture. And Martha's brother, Joel, is said to have created, or rather invented, the curved-backed chair, which is like an innovation that fits your back better when you sit. Now, that being said, that's something that's been like stated by the Clore family, like on their furniture website.
Yeah.
It's alleged that he invented it, but I am a little dubious.
There's no patent.
There's no one else has ever curved the back of a chair before 1830. I don't know. If there's any like chair history experts, that would actually be really helpful. But anyway, so if you ever sit in one of those chairs, that's basically your legacy. That and Jim Beam.
Wow.
So the Clores are one of those good, respectable families of the South. And while it's worth noting that in 1866, immediately after the Civil War, it's actually a terrible economic time for any Southern family that was invested deeply in the Confederate currency, which the Clore family was. But they end up being totally fine. They took some hits, but they still remained a fairly wealthy family. So you have this respectable family, and in walks 23-year-old John O'Donnell, migrant of Irish heritage. He's a coach smith by trade, which means he's a blacksmith that worked on coaches. And maybe I don't fully understand the social implications of these two social statuses at the time, but it feels like a strange choice for her to marry, right?
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. He just comes in by himself. His family's not even there.
Interesting.
It feels like a strange thing to me.
Something is sus here.
Yes. Now, I don't have any like specific idea about how they end up married despite their differences, but I do have a theory.
Does it involve true love?
Absolutely not.
All right, let's hear it.
So Martha and John's first son, also named John, he's born in 1866. And if John and Martha are married in May 1866, and we do a little math, we quickly find out there's not 9 months left in the year after May.
We got to have a name for this.
Like an appropriate name?
No.
What
a name for the old switcheroo, where it's like, you guys got married on this date and you had a child when? Okay, I see.
Switch them up.
The old switch them up.
I don't know, but we'll workshop it.
Yeah.
So maybe John Jr. was born a little early. It's maybe. We don't know. We don't know. Be. And also maybe something a little hinky's going on.
Yeah.
Which is what I think.
But also, they get married when she's 19 and he's 23?
Yeah. Better than some.
The bar is in hell.
Yes, the bar is in hell.
Yeah.
But also, if I could attack John's character further,
go
if
for
you'll
it.
indulge me.
Of course. Of course I will.
Martha's widowed mother, Judith, dies in 1864. And during 1866, the family is in proceedings to legally divvy up her will. And weirdly, even though Judith has a bunch of kids, she leaves everything she owns to just 3 of her children. And then she asks that those 3 children divvy up whatever amount they think is best to their other siblings. One of those 3 chosen children is Martha. Actually, do you want to hear something crazy I found while researching another family? This is not, your family didn't write this, but someone else in the town did. There was this woman named Priscilla who died, and she left everything to her son. But then she wrote, I leave everything to my son unless he marries Celia Bynum. And then she wrote, if he marries Celia Bynum, he will get $1 from me.
That is Gilmore level crazy.
I love her.
Oh, that's so good.
So Martha is one of the 3 chosen children. And I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, isn't that timing just a little bit convenient for a 20-something nobody to waltz in, seduce a young woman, and get that money? It's a little convenient.
Unless they were actually in love, but he's Irish, they're German. So maybe it was like mom doesn't approve, but then when mom kicks it,
Yeah.
we can get together.
I can't wait to disabuse you of this idea that there's true love here. So let's keep going.
Okay.
Regardless of John's intentions, they do get married in 1866 at Martha's brother's house. And they have their son John first and then their daughter Molly in 1869. Molly is your second great-grandmother. And she's the one who married into the Beam family.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have no idea how married life was for these two. We only know that they had the 2 children together. It wasn't until his murder in August 1869 that we have any further record of John. So that brings us back to the murder and our second question, which is why did John O'Donnell have beef with the Rains family in another county at another town? And why did they have beef with him? Well, like the first question, I know some, but I don't know everything. What we do know comes from Henry Rains' father, Zachariah Rains. 2 months after the murder, he puts in this long, like, op-ed piece in the local newspaper defending his son Henry, who is on the lam at this point.
Right.
And he gives a reason for why John might have wanted to do serious harm to Henry. So, Kim, I'm going to have you read part of what Zachariah says.
Okay. I make the following statement. The origin or occasion of the malice of O'Donnell for my son was by reason of Henry Rains's sending information to a lady whose future happiness was involved, that the man O'Donnell was a fugitive from justice, having run away from Madison County, where he was charged with a grave felonious offense. Felonious?
A felony.
Yeah, but is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
I was like, monk? And also that the said O'Donnell was a married man with 2 children, his wife having been a Miss Glore of Madison County.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Do you still think it's true love?
Oh, no. I think if Zachariah hadn't named names,
you wouldn't have thought
I'd be like, is this a Kilmer situation? Are we doing some like fanciful rewriting of a narrative?
Oh, yeah, like where they start like making stuff up with each other. Yeah. Nope.
Yikes, he's got receipts.
He's got receipts.
Receipts.
So this
Proof.
This statement alone is the main reason that we even know that John O'Donnell was killed by Henry Rains. Without this, we would have thought C.T. O'Donnell was a different person.
Right.
So now we know that this is the same John O'Donnell that's married to Martha. But the other evidence that supports it is that in 1868, one of Martha's brothers, who isn't one of the 3 named by Judith to get everything, he was suing his siblings, obviously. And in 1869, that lawsuit was still ongoing. And one of the papers from that lawsuit mentions that John has died and is no longer a defendant in the lawsuit where he was originally. So that's how we know we can kind of place that evidence together and realize that this Port Republic murder is definitely John O'Donnell. I know.
What do you think it all means?
So this is where a lot of the loose ends come in that I cannot fulfill.
Right.
The rest of the paragraph obviously is incredibly salacious.
Yeah.
And also it cannot, or maybe rather has not yet been substantiated.
Yeah.
So the one thing that should have been discoverable is that grave felony in Madison County. I can't find it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist somewhere. It might exist in the county clerk's office or something. I haven't been able to unearth it yet. So anybody in Madison County who can get that clerk info, I think it's more likely that either they never kept those like criminal files after all this time. They probably got rid of them at a certain point.
Yeah.
Or secondly, they could have been destroyed in some kind of like fire or
Right.
flood or whatever.
Right. Funny how that always happens to police records.
Dun, dun, dun. Let's put on our hats here.
Put on our hats.
Our little tinfoil hats.
Yep.
And let's speculate wildly.
I love that yours is kind of like mine was like there's a wide brim.
Yeah,
to
there's
it.
a wide brim. I'm going for like the where the wild things are kind of.
Oh,
hat,
like a crown almost.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mine is like a sun hat.
Sure, yeah. I always assumed that it had something to do with his will and that he might have like stolen that money that Judith gave everyone. That's my guess. But I don't really totally know. But then also there's that info about the young lady that John was supposedly schmoozing.
Yeah.
I have zero information about this as well.
Okay.
But the way Zachariah frames it by saying the future happiness of this girl, it makes me think that John was promising marriage to her.
Oh, yeah.
So he probably was like wooing her, promising marriage while still married. And Henry Raines probably found out that he had a wife and kids and was a fugitive.
Do you think Henry was jealous?
Probably. Maybe Henry liked this girl.
Yikes.
Yeah, they never name her. So
Okay.
I bet there's probably more info about this story if we can find out what her name is. But I just don't know yet. So Zachariah also notes in this op-ed piece, I know it's not an op-ed. I don't know what else to call it.
A testimonial?
I guess so.
Of sorts.
He also notes that during the fight, or like right before the incident, John had threatened Henry with a Bowie knife. And he also declared in front of everyone that he would shoot Henry. And according to Zachariah, there was a secret plot by John to murder his son the day that John was killed.
Whoa.
So basically, Henry Fathers declares it to be self-defense. He was just killing John before he got to him. Which, like, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
But we'll never get John's side of the story because he was murdered.
Yeah.
And for Henry, he dips. He's out. So we don't know where Henry goes. But by the time his father writes this piece 2 months later, he is noted as absent.
Why 2 months later? Needed to concoct a story?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't like that I'm on the side of my ancestor because I feel like he's probably a bad guy. But a little bit, I'm like, it's everyone against an Irish man.
Okay, I do find this really interesting because based on the evidence, he seems like a bad dude.
But is it evidence?
I mean, the way he got with Martha, leaving her, the schmoozing another woman. I do find it interesting that you're.
But there's so much we don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I just want this all to be about true love.
It's not. And honestly, I'm not on the side of Henry either.
Yeah.
I mean, Henry.
No, we're on the side of the women.
Henry murdered someone.
Yes. Yeah, that is correct.
So Henry is for sure absent, though, for 7 years. And I haven't found the concrete records about what he got up to during that time, but I do have a good guess. Henry has a child in 1871, about 2 years after the murder. And although I don't have the child's birth record, that child, Thomas, puts on a census in 1930 that he was born in Missouri. And the other censuses, he puts Virginia, but this one census, he puts Missouri on it. So I think it's possible that he was in Missouri for a little bit. But he didn't stay there forever.
Yeah.
In July of 1876, a police officer, John Switzer, who had been holding on to Henry's arrest warrant for 7 years, he had business in Port Republic's Mount Vernon Iron Works, the iron foundry. And while he was at the iron foundry for some other business, he just happened to notice Henry Raines just like walking around doing work.
Whoa.
And one report says that John Switzer waited in secret for Henry to be alone. And when Henry walked into a storage cellar, Switzer followed him, put a gun to his head, and clapped him in irons. Very dramatic.
Fun.
Very, very dramatic, like Wild West stuff.
Whoa.
It wasn't long until Henry had a trial where over 60 witnesses were examined. And I tried so hard to find what these witnesses were saying. Like if anyone had written down what they were saying. I couldn't find their testimonies. All I have is like a summary of the trial and people saying 60 witnesses were examined.
We got a road trip to do.
We got a road trip. Actually, yeah, we should go out here and see if we can get some follow-up info.
Yeah.
So, but if anyone else can find them, I'd be much obliged. Annoyingly, I could not find it.
Yeah.
But the first trial of Henry, there was a hung jury. But the same jury met a second time the next week and did find him guilty of involuntary manslaughter. His punishment, try to guess what his punishment is.
No dinner.
Yeah, no dinner.
His punishment, death?
No, $100 fine and 30 days in jail.
Okay, so it was one of those like, yeah, you did it, but like we're all better for it.
Yeah. Well, I think like the Rains were fixtures in that county.
Right.
And O'Donnell was an outsider.
Right.
I think that could have something to do with it.
Right.
And also, if that's it, I bet Henry was so mad he spent 7 years in Missouri. I would be if I was like, oh, it's 30
That's
days in
all
jail
it
and
takes.
$100 fine.
Maybe it would have been worse if it was like right after.
Oh, yeah. People were like, oh, we're chill now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible. So Henry goes to jail. Now we're at one of my favorite parts of this story. Just a couple weeks into his 30 days, Henry escapes from jail.
Let's go. Let's go.
Apparently, he pried the bars out of the window of his cell and somehow had a rope to climb out the other side. And Henry was sharing his cell with a guy named T.W. Reinhardt, who, seeing the open window to his cell now, thought, hey, why not? And he jumped out too. But T.W. did something very thoughtful, and he left a note to the Commonwealth of Virginia before he left.
This is me. This is what I would have done. I would have been like, I feel so bad. I got to explain myself.
Yeah. Well, great. You can read his note to the Commonwealth.
Oh, this is so exciting. To the Commonwealth, Henry has opened the way. He has been gone for 2 or 3 hours. I did not intend to go out at all, but since the window is open, I believe I will go home to my loved ones tonight. Who is it that blames me? Wouldn't you do the same? But do not think for a moment that I have run away, for I am only going home to my dear wife and children. Now, Mr. Commonwealth.
Mr. Commonwealth is good.
Parentheses, that is Mr. Paul, I mean. And also Mr. Bird, Mr. Ralston, and co. I don't want you to get excited. You need not send the
I'm surprised this isn't your ancestor.
Me too. I don't want you to get excited. You need not send the sheriff after me. I will come back Monday or Tuesday if God spares me, so don't go to any more expense. Yours truly, T.W. Reinhardt. P.S. Please don't interrupt my things in here. I will be back in a day or two and will need them. That is if they don't send me word to stay at home. I hope they will have mercy on me and tell me to stay at home. This is me. That's me.
It's one of the cutest things I've ever seen in my life.
Incredible. That makes my heart just like quiver.
Yeah.
Oh,
why couldn't that have been either one of our ancestors?
God, that's so good.
Yeah.
And did he come back?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Reinhardt.
That's the only man I'll ever cheer for.
Yeah. Reinhardt returned on that Monday and he just peaceably walked into the jail to continue serving his time.
Do you know why he was in jail in the first place?
I did look it up and I didn't write it down.
So
it's probably nothing.
Unremarkable.
It's probably nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. And actually not long after that, Henry came back on his own too.
Wow.
Yeah. But they're
just like out on leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Just little PTO.
Just, yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
But apparently when they came back, they were given a different cell that was a little less cushy and I'm guessing had no window.
Yeah, and a little less break openable.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But that actually is all I have. And it's time to wrap up our story.
Oh, man.
Because the good stuff is all behind us. But I'll wrap up a few loose ends if I can.
Yeah.
It seems like back home in Madison, Martha and her siblings work something out in court. And everyone makes it out a little richer than before. She never marries again, and she lives with her children in her old age. She dies in 1916. Kim, would you like to see a picture of Martha looking like a very distinguished old lady?
Yeah. Wow.
Distinguished.
Wow. What do you call one of those? Shawl?
Yeah, I think like a lace. She's wearing like a lace doily.
She's wearing like the most incredible, detailed, oversized lace doily over her shoulders. It comes basically down to her elbows. She's sitting on an unbelievable wicker chair.
Probably her family made it.
Yeah. It's stunning.
Yeah.
And she is looking at you like, and what? That's an incredible picture.
We don't have like a ton of info about the rest of her life. I think it's notable that she never got married again. I think she's like well respected by her family. I think this whole chapter of her life, I mean, it really only spanned about 4 years of her life.
Yeah.
This whole situation.
Yeah.
But it was wild. And I would love to know how she talked about it, if she talked about it at all.
I would too.
Because I think there's a lot of details in there. I'm guessing it was probably not a happy marriage.
Yeah.
And I can't blame her for not getting married again.
Yeah. We'll take a road trip. We'll talk to my mom.
Yeah.
And we'll get a follow-up.
Let's get a follow-up.
Okay, great.
There is one other rabbit hole I want to jump down.
Uh-huh.
I didn't jump in further than this, but I just thought it was interesting. John's grandson, who is the son of John's son, John, his name was Jarvis, and he was a World War II vet. And he was held in a Nazi war camp as a prisoner, and then he was liberated in 1945 at the end of the war.
Whoa.
And he was held there for 8 months. Isn't that interesting?
Yikes.
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
To wrap up Henry, he gets out of jail. He marries a young woman named Julia in 1880. I actually think, I don't know that he married whoever he had his first child with. But yeah, he marries a woman, Julia, in 1880. They have at least one child together. And speaking of Henry's previous child, Thomas, I looked him up and he sounds like he was a terror. He drunkenly beat up a guy for basically shushing him. And he and another guy whipped a widowed woman with a tree branch.
Okay, hear me out. What if rage and bad behavior runs in the family?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying.
Well, which is why I don't know if I believe all the bad stuff about John O'Donnell.
We don't know anything about his family, Kim. We didn't find his parents.
I'm a terror.
You're not.
It's me. No. I'm the one. Because I want so badly to find just some like possibility of maybe there is a reveal, you know?
A reveal of what?
A reveal of like, the real story is this. I know there's not going to be.
No.
It's not like season 2 might be coming. It might not.
I think we can hold 2 truths in our hands, can't we? Which is that Henry Raines was not a good guy.
John O'Donnell.
And John O'Donnell was not a good guy. But I mean, I'm happy to play in that space with you if that does something.
Clearly I need it. I don't know why.
But Henry dies sometime like before 1910. That's the story of your third great grandfather. It's wild stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get to residences.
Yeah.
For me, I hate to do this because I really do feel like we hit the why are men historically the worst lever pretty often in this podcast.
But why are men historically the worst?
It's like, I hate to not bring anything fresh or new, but come on.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah.
Even with a ton of missing evidence in this case, it feels so obvious to me that John O'Donnell was like not above board in his romantic dealings with Martha. And then the accusation from Henry that he was conning another young woman after the mysterious felony in Madison County.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no doubt that he was a dog.
Yeah.
And then Henry, like, sure, you were fighting for some girl's honor, but the chances of that being purely selfless feels pretty unlikely. And then on top of that, his answer was to do shooting about it to solve it.
Yeah.
And then his son being violent feels damning as well. So to everyone out there, if there's a woman in your life who's trying to let you know that her experience in the world is scary, don't doubt her, because there's thousands of years of records proving that men are loaded guns and you never know when or if or which direction they're going to shoot. Treat every gun like it's loaded. And also this made me laugh when I reread it yesterday. I wrote this resonance after we re-binged the first season of Vanderpump Rules.
Oh my God.
And I feel like that might have something to do about where I was at emotionally.
Yeah.
Watching the men in Vanderpump like terrorize and gaslight the women on the show.
Yeah.
I was like, John O'Donnell is just like all the others.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was just getting angrier and angrier at the audacity. I was just getting angrier and angrier at the audacity of men, both past and present.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're all dogs.
Yeah.
So that could have something to do with this energy.
Sure.
Yeah.
holding on to like maybe there's something sweeter at the core is for the same reason. Is like men, especially in packs, groups, and like trios, if two of them are like named Tom, for example, can absolutely spin the narrative and rewrite history.
Yeah.
When it's them against like a woman or another man. Like they could just be like, no, we're in cahoots. We are convinced it was XYZ. Like, trust me, this is the truth. You're crazy, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the reasons why I'm clinging to this idea that John might not be the bad guy that he obviously is, but is because when you have groups of men that are all on the same side or the same family or the same political party, very often they can convince other people of a truth based on their own, like if someone says something and other people back it up, you're more likely to be like, okay, I guess that's real and true. But it's not always, especially not with men in large groups. And I think that maybe I'm particularly sensitive to that right now.
Because you're rewatching Vanderpump Rules.
Because I'm rewatching Vanderpump Rules. And also because we are living in a time where there is a lot of rewriting of the actual truth coming from men in power, rewriting the narrative. They're quite literally erasing history to remove Black people, women, LGBTQ people. It's happening in all different departments in the government. So it is a bunch of dudes who are like, screw you in particular. We're going to just like wash away all of your life.
Yeah.
So that we can tell our story and seem like the heroes.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah. I think you're right. And I think in this story, that probably rings true. Like the Rains almost certainly, especially Henry Rains, he probably didn't know that John O'Donnell was going to murder him.
Yes.
John O'Donnell probably did not flash like a Bowie knife ahead of time. Like, I think that is poppycock.
Yeah.
But I think that when we're dealing with this group of men and then someone with the character of John O'Donnell fighting each other, I think it's likely that we're just watching like two sets of bad actors fight with each other.
Yeah.
I think that even if like Henry Rains and the rest of the Rains boys are spinning something, like why isn't John at home? Why is he using a fake name? Because he did all the witnesses say like he was C.T. O'Donnell. Like he was using a fake name.
He was
in
using
another
a fake name.
town. It's damning.
So, okay, just to peek behind the curtain a little bit, when you're doing research for this, I'm assuming you're looking for every record you can on both John O'Donnell and a C.T. O'Donnell.
Yes.
And just nothing.
No.
So how many other fake names was he using?
Oh, it could be innumerable. Yeah, remember that guy in last season who just went from town to town using fake names like the Music Man and like getting young women?
Yep.
Is this feeling similar?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That I take back everything I've said. Men are terrible, and this man was no exception. How's that?
I'm glad I'm on your side.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm on yours, frankly. Otherwise, I mean, it's the same resonance I'll always have. Like, how are the women? Are they good? Wish we knew.
Wish we knew.
I call this Murakami syndrome. Have we talked about this on the pod?
No.
Murakami is a Japanese author and an incredible author. However, I haven't read everything, but what I have read very often is from the perspective of a man infatuated with a woman who she does things as if they're not her own choices and free will, and then she disappears, and then it becomes this whole thing for the man. It's like, maybe she just didn't like you. Like, maybe you creeped her out.
Yeah.
Maybe she just got bored.
That could be an option.
Or was a woman and a person who made choices. So there's a little bit of that happening here.
Yeah. Yeah. If we ever find out who the young woman was in Port Republic, I think we would learn a lot more about that situation.
I think we can.
Yeah, I think we can too. I bet Martha was talking about it too. So there might be people who know the story.
There might be some family lore that I just haven't tapped into.
Yeah. Let's get that family lore.
Let's get that family lore.
I know we're coming down hard. Like men contain multitudes of badness, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Let's remember T.W. Reinhardt.
Let's remember T.W. Reinhardt.
Because I want to make it clear.
That's a king.
I want to like make sure we highlight the examples of the men we want to see in the world.
Yeah.
And that's T.W. Reinhardt.
Well, and I mean, this goes back to how we talked about John Conness in our first episode.
Yeah.
Who, got into a lot of trouble, but also like people can get into trouble for a lot of reasons. It can literally be survival.
Yeah.
It could be that they're tricked into it.
Mm-hmm.
It can be because they are suffering and they don't know how to handle it and how to cope with it. And all they can do is lash out. So
do you mean John Conness or Ernest?
Ernest.
Okay.
I mean Ernest.
Yeah, Ernest.
Yeah, and we can leave that in. I don't care.
That's fine. Yeah, I think you're right. And
Yeah.
I think let's end on a high note and say, T.W. Reinhardt, you are an inspiration to all of us. And let's all leave notes when we do something a little bit out of the bounds.
I know we've talked about making merch before, but I would like to get that whole letter printed on a t-shirt to just wear every day of my life.
Yeah, okay, good.
It's so good. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's do it for TW.
Do it for TW. Watch us like someone call in and be like,
yeah.
TW was like an absolute maniac.
TW was in jail for burning women at the stake.
Yeah.
God, I hope not.
Don't
let us down, TW.
Yeah, never meet your idols. All right, Kim, with that, I think it's time for us to go.
Great. Thanks for sharing, Karyn.
You're welcome.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Low Ancestry is written and produced by Karyn Harding and co-hosted by me, Kim McMasters, with original music and audio engineering by Benjamin Malk. Original cover art was designed by Christina Swanson of Swansong Creative. Resources pertaining to today's episode and a link to the official bibliography can be found in our show notes or at our website, lowancestry.com. All research was conducted by Karyn, but she's been known to be wrong on occasion. So if you'd like to connect with Karyn or even send her a correction, you can email us at connect@lowancestry.com or find us on Instagram @lowancestry. Genealogy is, after all, a community effort. Thank you so much for listening, and if you like what you hear, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love to hear from you, and frankly, we really need this.